Festival, which the Oba celebrates outside the palace gate. A pavilion is built of red cloth where rites are performed to drive away all evil spirits still unsatisfied by the year's sacrifices. The Emobo Festival is to commemorate an event in Benin history which dates back to 1504 AD.
Yari yari, Oba Tope!
The Oba of Benin added a colorful mood to the year's celebration as he walks round the city center amidst cheers.
Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio.
Pitches and voices. My name is Kingsley Okoje, your usual anchor on the program. And as usual, my sign language interpreter for today is Cynthia Godwin. Let me, before I go into the nitty-gritty of today's program, let me start by apologizing to our ardent followers and viewers on television that for quite some time, 2 editions now, we've not been able to come on air. But thank God we are back now to do what we know how to do best, which is, of course, talking about disability, creating awareness on issues concerning persons with disability, not just in Edo State, but in Nigeria at large. And today would not be different as we'll focus our attention to NAVID. NAVID, of course, is the sponsor of this program, Hitches and Voices. And NAVID is Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, a non-governmental organization based here in Benin City, Nigeria, that is advancing the rights of persons with disability. NAVID has embarked on a very noble project, And our guest for today, who's to talk about this, is indeed a noble man. He's the program officer for NAVID, and he'll be taking us through what NAVID is trying to do to support the Edo State Disability Commission. I'm talking about Mr. Isaac Noble. Welcome to Hitches and Voices.
Thank you, Kingsley. I'm grateful.
All right. Like it is with NAVID, one of our core mandates, like I said in my introduction, is to advance the rights of persons with disability. And for quite some time, NAVID participated in several activities calling on the Edo State government to do the needful by passing a law for persons with disability. That was done, and NAVID was not satisfied. Together with other sister organizations, we pushed for the Edo State government to set up a commission for persons with disability that would drive the implementation of the law. And kudos to the current governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpebholo. He set up the commission to implement the provisions of the law. But the commission is in place now, but I'm sure NAVID is still not satisfied. NAVID has started a project to support the Edo State Disability Commission. And I want my guest in the studio today, Mr. Noble NAVID, who is the program officer for NAVID, to take us through this project.
All right, thank you so much, Kingsley. I want to especially greet our viewers at home. Compliments of the season to everyone. Yes, NAVID currently is implementing the project, capacity building for justice providers in handling vulnerable groups project. It's a project that is with the support of the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, ROLAC, implemented by International ID and supported or funded by the European Union. It's a very short project, just about 2 months, but one of the aim that we have for this project or goal is to achieve the strengthening of justice sector providers, particularly mechanisms, justice mechanisms in the states to be more inclusive and provide more accessibility for persons with disabilities in accessing justice in Edo State. But particularly at the tail end, when we did that proposal, the commission was not yet on board. So as soon as the commission came on board, we saw a need to retake the proposal, and thankfully, ROLAC gave us that open door to rework it. And one of the things we want to achieve, which is very critical for us right now, is the strengthening of the newly established Edo State Commission for Persons with Disabilities. So part of the things we're going to be doing in this project within these next 2 months is to strengthen, we call it institutional strengthening. Yes, institutional strengthening of this commission, of the members, and of course the officials, and to ensure that this commission is able to receive the needed support to carry out its function as a commission that is representing persons with disabilities in the Edo State government. And I would want to say that so far we've been able to achieve some level of results already, though the project just began December 1st. But so far, one of the key provisions that we saw in the law, the Edo State Disability Rights Law of 2022, is that the commission is to function with the support of what we call ex-officials. That is, each of the relevant MDAs or necessary MDAs that's to work with the commission are supposed to designate a senior staff member to serve as an ex-official in the board of the commission. And so when this project came on board, we needed to do a training or a workshop where these ex-officials will be on ground. And so what we did was that we began to mobilize. We wrote to the HOS, and then right now we have these ex-officials are currently mobilized to the commission. That is a plus for us because before now, that was not there. All right, so but through this project, we're able to mobilize, and this commission right now has expanded its board to include these ex-official members. And just last week here, we had the first 2 days workshop training to train the commission and, of course, these ex-official members on what is required of them to function and to push the commission as a regulatory body to truly achieve its objectives for which it was set up for.
You just said something that's very striking. You mentioned the objective of the commission. How significant is this training? How would this training help members of the commission to effectively achieve the implementation of their mandate?
Thank you. You see, the commission, like I stated, is a newly set up commission, so they are still at the very base level, all right? And giving them the needed support right now is all that is required, okay, to function effectively. Yes, the government has done their part by establishing a commission, but if you notice, during the just concluded International Day for Persons with Disabilities, on the 5th, we organized, in collaboration with the Commission and JONAPID, NAVID organized the 14th Rights Above Charity Lecture. And what the theme for this, for the lecture was from establishment to effectiveness, making inclusion the heartbeat of governance in Edo State. So that signifies that we know that government has played its role by establishing the commission. Right now, what we are looking at is to see how this commission can be effective. So the training we did last week was a 2-day workshop to train. We got the consultant to train the commission and, of course, the rest official members on the statutory role as a commission. And one of the outcome or output from this 2-day workshop is the development of the operational manual for the commission. You know, for example, these are baby steps we are taking, especially as a commission, the commission level. So we are helping them take that step, like we're like providing a guide, all right? So one of the outputs is that we've been able to achieve the operational manual, which is being fine-tuned currently as we speak. All right, and also I want to also let you know that just the previous week before the December 5th, December 3rd program, we were able to even achieve the simplification of the Edo Disability Rights Law of 2022. It's still under this output from this same very project, where the law is being simplified so that the common man can access the provisions of that law without needing a learned colleague to decipher the content of the law. Yes. So that is part of the things we are trying to achieve. And one of the things you will see that at the end of this 2-day capacity training that we did, there was increase in knowledge, all right, on the part of the commission on their statutory role, and also what is expected of them as per the public, and at the same time too, the part that is very important for them is to understand their regulatory function, all right, as a commission. And one of the things that will help them guide their operations was the operational manual, which, like I said, was developed in that workshop. So you see that it's a whole robust program that at the end, in the next 1 year, 2 years, you will not believe how much we would have achieved by this foundation that is being laid.
You talked about an operational manual, which is one of the key documents or one of the fallouts from the 2 days capacity training. I also know that you are working towards developing another document, which is a strategic work plan for the commission, but we'll talk more about that. We'll go on a quick break now. Don't forget the program is Hitches and Voices, coming to you courtesy of Network for the Advancement of People with Visible Disability, NAVID, a non-governmental organization here in Nigeria. We'll go on a quick break now. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with our guest, Noble NAVID, a program officer with NAVID. We'll be back. Back from that very short break. If you're just joining us, the program is Hitches and Voices. Don't forget, our conversation has been with Mr. Israel Noble Isaac, a program officer with NAVID, and he's been having conversations with us about NAVID's intervention or NAVID's support for the Edo State Disability Commission to strengthen the commission, to enable the commission fulfill its core mandate. And before we went on break, he was talking about helping the commission develop a operational document that will help them function very well. Like I said before we went on the break, you talked about a strategic plan. Why do you want to help the commission develop a strategic plan?
All right, thank you. Thankfully, we have a government that's very supportive of the commission since its establishment. And one of the things that we also say is the outcome, an outcome for the commission since inception is that for the first time they were able to defend their budget, and for 2026 fiscal year they will be operating with a budget. All right. So we as a development partner, NAPFID, we see the need that it is important that they don't just implement programs or projects, but they have a policy drive. All right, so that's why we, with support from the ROLAC program, we are able to, that will be in January 2026, we'll be having a 3-day strategic planning workshop with the commission members and of course the ex-officials who have just been inaugurated into the commission to develop a 3-year strategic plan and a work plan for 2026 based on the budgets that have been submitted already to the states for the commission, so that it will be like strategic plans are like roadmaps. They show you direction. They direct you on projects and programs that you do. Is a policy direction. All right. So the strategic plan we are looking at is that it's going to be for 2026 through to 2028, which of course also in addition, like a cherry on the cake, will also be including the 1-year work plan, which is for 2026 for the commission. So that at a glance, even if they are going to be desiring partners to join them to push through with the strategic plan, it will be easier to bring partners on board, to be easier to bring,
all right.
Yes.
I don't want us to be too academic with this program so that an average listener can follow properly. But the essence of all of this is to ensure that the commission functions optimally and deliver on its core mandate, which is to provide for the welfare and to protect the rights of persons with disability. I believe that's the essence of all of this activity. But let's go back to the ex-official you talk about. I believe these are members of various MDAs who will be working with the commission to achieve its mandate. And I like the fact that you are carrying various members of each ministry along. But I just want you to speak to the specific. Why is it important for these ex-officials to be part of the commission, to understand what the commission is doing so that they can implement it at their various ministry? How important is this?
All right, you just answered it.
I want you to expand on it.
You just answered it because their involvement play a great role. One, at the beginning stage, when you are part of those laying the foundation, you're able to contribute meaningfully to the raising of the edifice. All right. So in this case, the ex-official coming on board right now at this ground level is very critical. They understand where the commission is and where the commission is going. And so, as representatives of these various ministries are on board, for example, Ministry of Justice, one of their rep was available throughout the 2 days workshop. When he goes back to the Ministry of Justice, his role, his responsibility is to ensure that all the programs the Ministry of Justice will be carrying out henceforth should be inclusive. It should have a disability component, because disability is a cross-sectorial or multi-sectorial issue. All right, and therefore, talking about access to justice, for example, talking about accessing the maybe family courts or whatsoever, he understands the concept, because the truth is that you can't advocate for what you don't understand. So if they are on board, they understand the concept, they understand the idea from which persons with abilities are speaking from. And so when they are at the implementation or policy level in their various ministry, they can make meaningful contributions. Okay, I'm representing this group in this capacity, and I can speak for them in this level. So can we make this program more inclusive? And how do we do it? You will now see them bringing ideas. Okay, we can do it this way because they already have ideas. They've been trained on how inclusive programs should look like.
Oh, beautiful. So, for example, maybe someone, an ex-official in the commission who is a staff of the Ministry of Information, for example, if there's a policy to carry out a campaign or an awareness creation, he's going to speak for the disability community to say, look, we must make this campaign more inclusive.
Thank you.
Because sometimes we see campaigns on television, on radio, and they are not inclusive enough. They don't carry the deaf community along. You do jingles, there are no sign language interpreters to help the deaf community understand what you're talking about. If there's an epidemic now, how is the deaf community going to be aware? So such ex-official will help break down, unbundle these policies, and ensure that they are more inclusive, they are more disability friendly. That's a good one. Let's look at you say it's a 2 months program. So at the end of these 2 months, what does the What does NABID hope to achieve with this project?
Thank you. I will just run through the line of project activities that were planned out, so that when I speak to the results, it will be clearer, especially to our audience out there. One of the things we want to achieve primarily is to increase access to justice.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes. For example, strengthening the commission is in a way improving access to justice, because persons with disabilities will have better representation, both at the government level and also at the monitoring level, where you talk about regulatory, functions. All right. Also, we want to see that the current law, Disability Rights Law 2022 of Edo State, is simplified. Like I mentioned, we are simplifying that law. We've done the validation session just earlier this month, the 3rd or 2nd, I think 2nd of December. And part of that, what we did was to validate the simplified version of the disability law. And after we are done with the, final editing, we'll be producing even braille versions and other large print versions, so that it will be available for, the various clusters to access. That's one of the things we want to
members
achieve.
Of the public in
yes,
general.
of course. Even the digital copy will also be made available for anyone to access it in a simplified language. All right. And secondly, we are looking at conducting a research, all right, on inclusivity of the Edo State Civil Service. All right, because we believe that the current state of the Edo State Civil Service on inclusion, all right, is not, there's no data backing. Though we know that the government have tried, the government have tried by employing, persons with disabilities. Just recently, after the 14 at Above charity lecture, you could see that the governor gave direct appointments to one Barrister Kindness Idahosa into the Ministry of Justice. That is applaudable, all right? And we through this project want to strengthen inclusion in the Edo State Civil Service. And one of the ways we want to do this is through data research, where we can say, okay, this is where we are. All right, this is how far, this is what is commendable from what the Edo State government has done, and also make recommendations. How can they improve? Because it's not enough to employ, it's not enough to bring persons with abilities into this space to work, but are they reasonable accommodations? All right, are they accessible buildings? These are things that we are looking at in this research, and it's going to be, we will make the findings public, so that the members of the public can also have access, and also even use it to make decisions, informed decisions moving forward. Then thirdly, we are looking at also this strengthening of the commission. We've talked about it already, the professional manual, and of course the strategic plan for 3 years that will cover the commission operation, that will strengthen the operations as a commission. Then also we are looking at a case where we're also going to be creating awareness. For example, this program we're having now is an awareness creation program. Of course. So we are creating awareness not just on the project itself, but also on disability issues, how front burner issues are perceived, all right, by the general public, and how they can better position themselves, in responding. You need to respond right when it comes to disability issues, all right, because that's why we are creating that awareness to ensure that there is deeper understanding. So part of the results we want to see at the end of this project is that there is increase in our awareness, one on disability law, and of course on disability related issues when it comes to access to justice. And also, let me also skip this also. One of the critical components we also see in here is that there's an intersection of disability and sexual and gender-based violence. Yes, there's an intersection, because most of the times, most of these vulnerable persons are persons with disabilities, but they don't speak because they don't have a channel through which they can speak. So part of this we're going to be doing in this project also is that in next year, January, we're going to be training SAC workers. All right, it's part of this project. We're going to be training SAC workers in Edo State on inclusive practices in handling sexual and gender-based related issues. Yes. We're going to be doing that, and part of the result we want to see is that we'll have more inclusive practices. For example, earlier this year we did a research. When we were doing some of our findings, we find that at the state level in the SAC center, they don't have a database disaggregated by disability. So they agreed to us
to take count of persons with disabilities who have been violated.
They agreed to us that persons with disabilities have been violated. They've come to report, but in their database they don't have that, because in their case form, disaggregated by data. So that's part of the reason why we are doing this training also, to strengthen that provision.
All right, we'll continue this conversation. It's quite an intense one, and it's obvious that the program officer for NABID, Mr. Isaac Noble Israel, has a lot to say concerning this subject. We'll bring him on again to expand more on this conversation, but unfortunately, we've run out of time to continue the conversation today. Like I said, we'll stay on this topic and expand on it. It's a wrap for the program today on Hitches and Voices. I'd like to thank you for following us on the program, and for our listeners on radio, thank you for taking our time to also listen to the program today. We'll do this again next week. Till then, my name is Kingsley Okoje, saying spot the hitch and be a voice.
Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio.
The man went out to bring in thugs to come and beat her.
Yeah.
In a situation like that, do you think women would have seen that and still want to speak?
Really, we're talking
That's
about.
what I said.
So
So
that's-
when they bullied her,
Yeah.
if she's not bold enough, she will shut up.
What is your advice for girls out there that are so desperate to be married?
We women, we have to be really intentional about our parenting.
If you know a child is being abused, or you see signs, a bruise or a child, it has to be investigated.
People barely even breathe when they are going for a shrebi and something.
Party.
You have to be
They can't
smart.
sit
If
down.
you see where they are dressing them up and dragging on both sides, you cannot you cannot breathe.
That's what
And these
happens.
women will stay in those events for hours just to keep up with that beauty trend.
Is that healthy?
That's not healthy.
I am Patricia Uremu Gabriels, and we're reaching you live from our Lagos Network studio. Of course, Women in Conversation is a program designed for women to discuss about themselves.
The Ekoko masquerades from Ute village, whose cult is connected with Obaeware and his mother, Elere, appear on this occasion to bless the Oba. Ekoko is a ritual masquerade that dances to please the guests and the Oba.
TV, certainly the best.
Oya bota now. Ugi bota we se ni wa. Ka bo pon wa ya fe ni dahima. We ugi ori bota na. Owe yi ma so nyele. We eme so ni mata. O ka bo do fi o 7 se. Ma we apon o sa lo bo aye dagbin ma. Edi ma we ni hunu wa ni wa. We ewen mata awe mwese katikati no dekan imuno 12 so bo won lo wa ma ya fe bota de na ni wa o dekan ugie na ya do pona katikati no ka bo wa kan gwa ma ate eyupo ro edu ya fe no bado no gwe gwayo ori ma ro temege pastor Calvary hunamure
iye do no woman wa bidata wa bidan wa be ne ge kai ofun igbo sa oba gwoyaro oba atokpe
ise me sa obo sa je no yero no re do ba yo ka e do ya fe we ge tu wa ya o ọba atọpẹ ise ẹni ma agwa ka ni wa o ugie o upona be na ya do e nda e wa ma oladiane o keke na rita ni wa meke na be na ya mu gbe igwe eno wo igwe vedo wa igwe ha igwe okay ege nedo ya repon osarudazi ya repon wenika ya repon oba ya no ya fere ya pon me emi ya fere no wi morion ya soto emi ya fere na ru wa ware ukiwe ba na yin ma mu poyi un be so ogogo no kwa eno na ya gwaka igwewo okay hunda we ina inyo salobo ae igwe aya roe igwe ya temata igwe aya ninye ma enika hunda unyame we pome eno ono igwe agbela dan zere bena ni rie mena eri ma mu bo lele tai ipeju we na wo onara ogi roba uwegwa anya na doe awe kame eya wa riba omonoba wa nyogi ni so kwa ma ya fe ma ne kame ke ma ya fe tawe gwe due ugini eyo no na ipede kesugi wo ede kenu yiro pa ro wederio ipede mero ugi otu igwoba otu igwoba na ni wan abe omo we ladian awe kan ya fe awe ya to aya pon enika otu igwoba o isun we oge ha ipede haro ugi yiro pa ro wederio ipede baro ugi igwoba uga anya na doe ìpàdé ní ọ̀pára ugie wọ́ ìrọ̀pá ìrọ̀ délọ̀ ìpàdé ugie mọ́bó awé kàmẹ́ yá fẹ́ yẹn ìgbẹ́ délọ̀ náà dẹ́rẹ́ àgọ́ ọmọ náà bá dùn ẹ̀ ugie ẹ̀ dẹ́rẹ́ wọ́ wọ́tà ẹ̀ abẹ́ ìyọba yá fẹ́ yà gbọ́ àti náà yá fẹ́ ràdánù ni wọ́n ọ̀tẹ̀ mẹ́ dọ́mọ̀ yẹn wẹ́ ọ̀wọ́n sà ló bọ̀ ẹ̀rù ògì ọ̀rẹ́ mi kpona wọ́n yà kàn dó ẹ̀ ẹ̀gbìyọ̀tà nínú ẹ̀ wàá yà dó ẹ̀ nga ekpọ́n ẹ̀ nọ́kọ́ ẹ̀yẹ nọ èmi kpọ̀ ọ̀gbánà.
ẹ̀dọ́nù pẹ̀ wà bẹ́ẹ̀ nìkẹ́ ká yẹ ẹ̀mí gùẹ̀ kébẹ̀ ògì nà dó kpọ̀ ọ̀ọ́rìyẹ ìmàmà ni bùn ẹ̀yẹ nọ. Amie ọma kọma n'eme mama n'ọkan amukporie ukporie n'ukpobere ẹdọ mẹbi ni awọ gị ya ọmọ náà bá n'ẹdọ kọ akpọlọkpọlọ yọ ẹrẹ do ya na mie wu yọ ká sún ẹ ọ ẹbi ni ya nana ba bi n'ẹgwa ya mama eri ọbẹ rọ n'ẹ igu ẹdọ ya eri ọbẹ rọ n'ẹ ẹbọ kẹbọ wàá mie ba na ẹbọ ìṣòro tẹ do na. Dene do ya gwe ya gwe ya bi me edeni ya wa bi wogi ya ozi ana miewe ede ipede vanya nyaogie obena gbe yi beni we igwe do ya fe eni so pa eno ugie na eri so si mo ya eri owe mo gi ya ge monle owu fomu kpona so no so pa oge edo egene do ya ugeva oro wederio egena ya kmomi ige ohun sukpo na ya gogo ni gbo gogo no ege run no ara kmomi ne awur gbebe lerun we osanowo duwa no so wa sede na no la ipede no ikerupo na aberi eyobo no wa munimi na efu ere awur gbebe na we no kan me ukpo be na ki abe la so o form gbona be nana ogugie no we ne do ya wogi adiki e mama no ro no kane na do pon wa we ni bogulo ni bonre wisi ni egbe so na be ni bo abe biele o do gba ori eke yara me no ro no tori enwon o gege o dekun nu gbeje ohon kenu ya omie no salongo dua ona gba ogiwe umana oksun pa de mana uga yeweni ukmo mo salongo dua we mero be de na unda e mama na ya poedo rade e omo no ba ku apolopolo no no ya sun mama na ko we oke kinari ege yoto pupo ariye na ya lerun na ya pon me ne do tie igwe emi gun ne do yawe imama na oge ukpo ki asoto na bebi kataba be ne do mema eri monle mama eri owi yayi mama da do deno ami ukporie no tukotu ne ebokebo ne iyayi ki yayi na ne ugie no kan mi pon mebe no kan mi ru eri oge doje no kan mi gwe oba atope ise wese eni wa we no yaka ege e pastor obi edo e mama wu amupo yoto no dopa owe zebi no time ma da de wo ya fere wo tagun ya fere iya mo egbenu we ta we ni nya festival emi na ge wo tagun ya fere ka na bo ukiwe va wupo aya mo yoto wo za na ro yi we uhun soy zewe no time ukiwe vani awe ya mama muda edome uwu kan no ladin ebi ya fe na ri epon no saloboa wa ya ri epon no saloboa be ni kawo he gbosa wa adako de kwere alule kia gbosa ya defie gota ya defie o we awe wo wa we uge gbe we uge we we to bu we no da o mi na
oria ohwoni of favor weto buwe ohwoni of favor usalogwa USA omo negbe matera na mo ajo fitoro e yaro don favor na ku salogwa eso wero ewae na ena ugbo na gbe we se ti gbowo ya bo so ma se ti gbowo emi awon sierra adewuno iki won ye supo ya ye kini wa ami yo pa otagbon ya na mama oyin ma pa lare supa o me dado ewo ge be matabana be ni dade no mo no ba yan na agwe abe kabe abe eba eyo be no ise lo gbe o gbe mawe diaro ise lo gbe o gbe mawe diaro ise lo gbe o gbe mawe diaro ise lo gbe se no gbe se no gbe se no gbe ma diaro pona di mawe diaro eyo ga yenu wa ya fe idami mana ima mi hu da mana tana nia mi ga ya mo gbe pé ma te mo gbe we mi aye mi po wi bo sunu yi imi e na mi da ni o sa lo bo mama eni ka o mama o ta gbo ya mama we gere na aru yi po awe neru nu won ma so we no ma ka bie yi udo bie dukiru na bie yi upo na no oho wo no ga July oho wo no ga March oho wo no ga January upo na e no umi omo bie uri omo we we mi ala oda we to buwe we mi ala oda de we be oye ugbebe uri umi unladian wo wa ni eze boyo wa ka bo pasi esese se ogogo no oye upo na e dan ni ru iwa ladian o sense ima fe mala odeke ya fe aro upo boko dan we mi enu we na se ti hu ladian de no mana we de fiofo no biara rupo na wa gba ni o ge wo lo anu o ezo na yeroda ya neru nupo na upo de ma so po na upo de ma ya se o no gbo ni wa Ọlọ́run ni ma mi upo no ya fo na na ye mi upo no de ayin no salobwa ayin ni ka de na mi upo yi o te me pa so ihonu no yo we bible ke ebu na mi upo eten wa mi we ipon me na bi gwe na do de ba upo akin asupo agba ori eke na ya hen we igbina woko lọ́lọ́rọ̀ wa ya nuwe lágbèrè abẹ́ dáhùn wẹ́ náà sẹ́ tí mo sọ ẹ́ udori ekpọ́n mẹ́ nusa uri ekpọ́n mẹ́ negbu ẹnu rí ohun ẹwẹ́ a n'ọnyá ma ekpọ́n mọ́ uwe ekpọ́n mo sábà gba ju ohun ẹ wẹ́ ẹ̀dánù jẹ́ oṣù wa ẹ̀ma wẹ́ miẹ́ ẹ̀ma náà sí awẹ́ dè yóò tọ́ra wa wù ẹ̀yẹnu wẹ́ hàn ẹ̀nà sunu ẹ̀wọ́ wẹ́ ẹ̀nà sunu ẹ̀wọ́ ẹ̀nà ẹ̀mọ́ ọ̀gá ẹ̀bọ́ ẹ̀nà kẹ́kẹ́ náà pọ́n sábà nọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wẹ́ ta ìbá náà ọ̀gá rẹ̀ bì náà wọ́n ẹ̀ Adam kekebe Eve odowa me ya Ivana so aboya smagmo ya kero bi o me Ivana ga tie Cain kekebe Abel ukpogiri o to we na don do na di emire to ya mo me be ya mo me wi ya we baba we se hu me ye se pona okpa bo na la ogbugbo no pa na ga so won da do we na di emi no mere ni ado akpon me so pon kiyan ne no dion no e Cain o ma igwa lo do ga ni se wena ne baba habani awe uwe bia gi mie ebe ne ni gangbe na ya be me da we nyupo o me so go dan we kin uda aro ke kan we me ni we pomo salobo ayo ni gioni su wo ken ama mu ekpize yo wa salebe uda ebe no wa ka we o be mana ro wi o aro wi o ma se aro wa ni ya na fon uda e ma so ga me gbe e dozwa ye danyo zo nda igo ni ro so po we na mo oege we te doge ba woni se ni ego ni me po na la imani lu egbera ma mi na ye no sakwa ye ga lu ogozo e be no ka wo ke kina ro wi o nda ego eni oyi o o ma ogo e so po ma bungbo be oyi o ma mi na ye fun a we do a lo me na elede
ele de lele ke no zunu yi ele de ro emeso amego ihe moko no sisemede ora o se siga no packet no sisemede o danyori agbo a on nebi gbo ayo bi gbe ke no na danu de ewe efe so ogo zuo no ogesi ono ze ne ebi no wana ka okeke na aro wiyo uda o ma no to tana o enegbe ona o eno lagbera ona o ekeni ekede ori epon wo vigwe yo to o mira o ma do bo mi o e agbonro e na so ro mi awa so asokito ero paro baba imaye me nwa se na de asokito ya tu ma igi se ba nwete bo pe ana eti na aro emiki na aro alimo na aro apo na aro e bread na aro o ma mi nu yae ona ga da me we mo na wa gwe wo wa ni ha iwa lo lewa o mie o ma mi nu yae we no mi nu yae ni egbera won emi we akpon me yi no e mo so wonye me no ebe soro ono wa na ego na we was wo we na so anyo emi ati table na vi anyo yi na ti ba anyo wa gbare wa we hage we igwe mi anyo pera me o ma mi nu ya dai onyo ze we unwe ga supo ka pon salo bo ayunwe igwe mi 2025 we mi 2026 ebe soro ono ma se ba odeke ka we aye ko ni ere ba ni ola ya yo wori ni re e ba ni ola ya yo ni chani re e ba ni ola efiba no well we na mi hu ori wo ma be o ma mi hu o ma mi enso eni ya we akpon me o ugie ne dori oyo to nu ya akpon me ye gbo e nu ya akpon me dagbe mo e mo gbanu e nu ya akpon me ye kinudo nu ya akpon mo ye eni sikewe e ugie kin o be re so si be dio e so sun an lerun o we pe do pa nya ugie ma wa ya lerun na e so we pe de iwe ne ma ya na e so we pe de yan ma ya na ba kana aya ekpo wo salo baba wo ese wo meso wo ya na me mama wo kpo no de mu giekin o be do no ro ene ni gu ene dori e to o no bi je me se bogi gu eni ni de ile ki o mi ya ino o lubirie e de ina ye kere ni ino e kan ya mo to e na ye kere ni na do aga berun ne do na bi ari obiri mo bo obu efi o Holy Ghost fire ni mati na ọba babe lubiri asan oso lubiri ose ekwere won lubiri ogboviere lubiri ye do ge na wo man luga na o ma dan o resource na Holy Ghost fire ase mo so mo idu akpo me Holy Ghost fire ina wo pa mayata amereni dori e mo bo but mana resource mama ro re o unu mama yata wa je we wa mi ile oredo ona ge egi no ge osalobo aluga mo boro
wesi anyone we so ten
do mo wa to pe
ya iwa da e doctor pastor iri ma oredo osalobo mayaga osase ya fe osase osa mudiano ma are mewu my so ma vie digun yoto viona yoto oteto salobo ni ya fe yimeji ebi na we ben ugie ni ma gwaka bania we ne edigoba ne do ya na we gue ededo we no ye no sun yi bare pastor ugie we ari ewe ke mo wuga o we no yo ewe o da fun ewe unyan ewe no yo eyin no wa no ka emi yi polo no mie be wo ho be mi no ro ton aro wo te do bi oba mana otion enopa we wa fi okun o na bi ma me no we ya ho ekian ana sin po e lo su no ni wa ekeni ya le yi abi yoku ihu ese we ya ma bere ya ma ekino le yi ya to bi ana e mo ko ro te ana le e mo ma ladia asena ma le ma hu ese abo wa la baba ye gogogi o na pe ri ye ti apagbo ya ge e ma ya ebe na arege o ri gba oko to ọ̀rọ̀ wa ko mo ko ro to ya ona wi ana ye na gbo aru mo ko ro to o ipe ni eze ke na pagbe na pa ona pa na ni ebe ni ona ebe na se obo ma wa yen ebe na ewe ati e ona kolo ona ri e to ba yun ori di oba ne ohin agbo hun we na re ona we ni akole ebe ni re ona we ebe na ni wa ewe na o ze obohi amagba yen na ya ye ere enoki ma we won mi na soro no amina enyo soro no aru nu ya yere no sunu abe ya yere se no so ma abe ya yere ufe na idu ave egwe ni gegwe ni ona we so pa aigaru hu upo agba ari ebe egwe ni ma ye ikulule hia o egwe no suru yiba ubirie egwe no wa we no obi ogeka no egwe orie ubi na ti obi no ro ari ese ready ona aru o ma hu no ready ona aru no ma keke ya fere ai na mi na we na ri ipa ona ubirie na hu bura obi ogeka no ogeka ori ona we bona hu ni salo bwa me ohu owi en eri egomo no ba ahuela dia ona wi ari obi ona ri ege ona ati oni ewe ana ri ege ana hu ege wa ewe ede na hu ewe ahia ugie no hwa ega no ari ewe egomo wuga o ewe go yoyo ona ewe ri be segwa ona we o ma ge be pe o ma esu popa ma esu ki ha o we ri obo kagba bo kana wo ri beru na we ri amu he wa go gede ona we wo ki yo mi me ana no ona we mo tie wa din o to we he obi ye ni esi mi ba tie ona wo oyoyo o mo na wo ma egbe no ka e ka na ona na ri oyoyo re ai we ri e da na be asi wa ari egbe ege mo wo ga o ewe go oyoyo ewe ada fe ewe unye o ewe go yoyo ona we ae ebi no keke ehi ana furi kore oye usue aye no hwa emi pokin ni dadoma emi pokin ni me okinu we no dai omena bia mie bia kian se hebo do no ga me mie ni zigo re na yi de me ni hu omi ina fe ohun na ise de na pon so lo gba na pon ni ka no ama we gbegbe gbona ama wo na isale benu so pa nupon sa lo bo ye dagbon won nupon ye ne ohenu mie nupon ye odekun nu mie una ye mi hu nupon ye do ma mi odekun wa mi ro pa emi nu mie no sori ohun ke mo kare kote korun ki wo ni rewe bo ke ni ro wa ke ya fe emi ya fe nu odinode nu sa ro bo ye ya bowewo wo mi na ana be yin osanu dazi yin ni ka yin bo ya fe na ga emi ni ya we ko ya bo me o manu we mo we emi po na ame ya bo amezo yuto ma be yin ri ma omo no gba ne do ko apolopolo emi no ri aye o saba imanenu no fure ga re bo na e ma no wa go egba o gewo ni aha mo hin no hu ai de no mo hin daro ni ka o fe o hin wo ri ni etowo no pewo awe ka ya fe ma we gotu wa ya fe ugiore mi po na rie na o wu po na 2025 no imagine ni ma me ti la 2026 be no we de be gbera mi
opon so we na we
o tan ire kere ba e be se
edun no pewo we ge ka we ero to ero hun owe okapa ni o wege ne de owo pe opa we te ni eje dagbon ye na ya gbegbe won ito no kere pe ona ya de moi wu de ona we o ma no wa ke na ye ti wa wu so na mi no magun yen kwa kan dori e to ko ona de moi ni ona mu oriri no ya ari koro ori ori mo boy so pa yegi sunwera odiri yo ni ete wa rikoro ona bole moi ona ri unu ye ete wa la lo bo ma be na wa lu le gege na wa ri be moi ona wa la lo pia na we bona ki ona we la re wa na le be moi we me o ri ne bu sen ade mami bai o pe na wa lu le wa toro nwera yi ona we condition ni ni ze boyo o be ma so ona yi bi na gbegbe ye bana ona wa ran ri mu nwera ona we bo ba tore ona wo tere gi ari wa agbonga mama where any ma do na zezelu o ma do na e ka wo ume ni no arun da igogo ume no arun da iwe mi po ume no ugwe me go ma be igogo wari da ku gbe na nwanyo ku gbe oba atokpe
ise anyway ya iwa dai ma e ma na mu gyoge emi po na ayuto niwa maka bokon wa ya fe di dai ma page ma ye nirun adigu enirun awe ya fe mana owe go ba we duge osaloba no gi ma eseti gwe igwe emi ya fe ke ni ro wa kiri gwe we ni abo kagele abo kare awe dion wala ho wa go ba dole wo nai wa ge ria wa me kito ha ane ga gwaligo wa me kito po be gbania ba ya do po na he po de ba be do he wa ga zi esi no ba vi wa yi na ya dole wo yi abo kagele eyi o no ona ojon we be so egbe ade lórí ojon we we go awe na riru na ya fe awe nigi ni we ro ya fe awe nirun erun ni to sa mi ma ya fe yibo na fi wo re no ma no la o tedo ya fe me ma na mu gibo ta de na yo to oba atokpe ise
Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year from Independent Television and Radio.
This is ITV.
Certainly the best.
Up until recently, the issue of mental health wasn't getting as much attention as it is getting today. You know, people focused more on physical health. Okay, so when someone breaks down, they say the person is sick, and the person is taken to the hospital for, you know, medical checkup or medical attention. But quite recently, I think more attention has been given to mental health. Someone once told me that, you know, until someone hits the street and starts picking up stuff from the floor, the person is not considered to be mentally imbalanced just yet, especially in this part of the country or in this part of the world. So that's how I would like to welcome you to another amazing episode of Flipside on Independent Television, reaching you live from the city of Benin. My name is Harry Aigboje, and it's my pleasure to have you join me on this episode of the show. We have a very interesting topic before us, and it's something that has to do with safeguarding teens' mental health. Safeguarding teens' mental health. Now, mental health, like I said earlier, is something that has been getting a lot of attention lately, because once the mind is in order, every other thing follows. So the mind is like the engine room of the human body. So yeah, that's basically what we're discussing today. And of course, to do this with me is a friend of the house, Abigail Ayobahi, who happens to be a teens coach and an instructor, a teens instructor. It's good to have you in the house, Abigail.
Thank you. Good afternoon, viewers. It's good to be here once again.
Yes, it's good to have you, Abigail. And of course, just like I said, mental health, it's a very key part of human existence. Yes. A lot of times, you know, I think we tend to focus more on physical health. Okay, so let's begin. What are the most common mental health challenges facing teenagers today?
All right. First of all, I would like us to understand the meaning of mental health, because I think there is this misconception. A lot of people don't really understand what mental health is all about. It's just like while I was preparing for the program, so I was discussing with my husband that the topic we are going to be having today it borders on mental health for teenagers. So then he now told me something. He said you just hear some people, young people, they will tell you, oh, I'm having mood swing, and this thing is kind of threatening my mental health. So it was like, some people don't know that that is that they are calling mental health. Maybe it's a sign of madness, but they will just say I'm experiencing mood swing. But the thing is that there's a lot of misconception about mental health. Okay. Like what you said during your introduction, just the same way we take care of our physical body, that's the same way we should also focus and take care of our mental health. Now, what is mental health? The World Health Organization defines mental health as the state of an individual's mental well-being that enables them to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well, work well, and contribute to their community. So just like physical health, mental health has to do with the state of your mind. And as individuals, it is very important for us to take care of our mental health, you know. Restoring our mental health, preserving our mental health is very important at all levels of life, at the individual level, at the family level, at the state, and at the community level. So it is very important for every one of us to take care of our mental health. Now, when it comes to the issue of teenagers and mental health, you know, The teenage age is a very peculiar stage. It's like a transition period from childhood to adulthood. And like what I will always say, the teenage age is likened to kind of a rough ride, because it is full of highs and lows. There are times whereby teenagers may experience mood swings coupled with the pressure from the academic work, pressure to please their parents, fitting in among their social circle. Then at that particular stage, they're also gaining new experiences, and they're also trying to find out kind of their identity is not yet fully formed. They are trying to find out
so they haven't
who
yet
they
figured
are.
themselves out.
Yes, they haven't figured themselves out. They are trying to find out who they are and what they want to be in life. So it is no doubt that as a result of all these complex issues, teenagers may experience mental health issues. Now, to your question, what are some of the common mental health challenges that teenagers of this generation are experiencing? I would say that one of them is anxiety disorders. Like experts would say, expert says that 1 out of every 3 teenagers are likely going to experience anxiety disorder. And anxiety disorder can take different forms. You know, when you are anxious about something, it can take maybe in terms of when they're in social setting, they feel anxious or they don't feel too confident in themselves. So anxiety disorder is one of the most common forms of mental health challenge that teenagers of this generation are experiencing. Then 2, we also have depression. Depression is also another common mental health challenge. Then attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is also there.
I think I might need you to throw a little light on that. Yeah.
Attention deficit, most times children or teenagers who experience attention deficit hyperactivity disorder are usually easily distracted. They might find it difficult to cope in schools, and sometimes they usually have academic challenge, and because of that, they might be labeled that this child is lazy, this child is not serious, this child, is performing below the academic standard for their age. So, but the thing is that such children, they need special attention, they need special care. There's a way teachers can get them to concentrate. So such children, they are easily distracted, even when they might be kind of smart academically, but sometimes they easily forget things. They may know that thing. Sometimes you may even engage them in discussion. You realize that they are sound, but sometimes to put things into writing becomes a problem. So attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Then there is also eating disorder. Yes, eating disorder is also another common form of mental health challenge among teenagers. You know, especially among females, with the media telling girls what they should look like, how their body should look like. Some girls may begin to kind of experience eating disorders such as anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. Sometimes, you know, when we talk about eating disorder, some people just think it's maybe anorexia. You know, maybe the girl wants to starve herself so that she can look slim or have a kind of slimmer physique. But sometimes there are some people that eat excessively. It's just like a coping mechanism. Like recently I watched I think it was a short video clip on the internet about a particular lady who said she was abused during her formative age while she was below the age of 8. She experienced prolonged years of sexual abuse, and as a result, she started eating excessively. She became a glutton. She said she had this feeling that if she becomes fat, that men will not notice her and they will not find her appealing, attractive. So she started eating to the extent that she became overweight, and it started affecting her health. So along the line, she went for therapy and she was able to work on her weight. So sometimes teenagers may eat excessively just to cope with stresses and challenges. Then another one I would like to talk about is bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is also, you know, when we talk about bipolar disorder, it's like a psychological issue whereby the person has like two contrast identities. There are times where they feel okay, there are times they are normal, and there are times where they feel aggressive.
Okay.
There are times where they will feel aggressive, while there are times where they will just feel normal. So such people, they require medication. It's something that, it is not just something that requires...
So it can be medically treated?
Yes, it requires medication. It's not just something that requires therapy alone. With therapy and medication. They were able to manage the situation. Sometimes these mental health challenges, they are underlying issues. Maybe within the family, the person was a victim of child abuse, or the person experienced a traumatic event. So that will not bring me to post-traumatic stress disorder. Even, yes, sometimes experiencing trauma, maybe the death of a loved one, or maybe an accident. Sometimes, you know, if you've had an accident before, or maybe armed robbers came to your house, there are times that you feel triggered, even when there is no threat around your environment, especially maybe few months, even few days, few months after that experience, there are times you'll be triggered. So
due to the mental damage
so due to the trauma, sometimes some victims begin to relive that moment. It will seem as if that particular thing is happening again. Sometimes they might just wake up from their sleep. They will start shouting, somebody is there, somebody, and there's actually nobody there. So that's post-traumatic stress disorder. It can be triggered by maybe a trauma that they experienced. Even sometimes that trauma might have occurred when they were younger, but maybe as a result of the fact that they have not been able to overcome. You know, in this part of the world, it's like we don't really take mental health that serious. Like in developed countries, when somebody experiences a traumatic event, no matter how small or how young that child is, maybe when they were little, they lost their parent, or they experienced the death of a loved one, or somebody
they probably
was
even
shot.
Experienced
Yes.
you know, a violent scene.
Yes, a violent scene. Somebody was shot in their presence. You know, the parents will take that child to see a therapist so that they'll be able to kind of go through that particular process, so that at the end of the day they'll be able to maintain their sanity, so that it will not have spillover effects on them. But sometimes in this part of the world, people just expect you to get over it. They will just tell you to be strong
automatically.
Yes, there's nothing wrong in telling somebody to be strong, but sometimes you also need to sit that person down and ask them how they feel. Just kind of validate their feelings. Just let them, if it requires them crying, venting, there are times, venting, there are times when you see some people crying and you just say stop crying, and sometimes just let them cry. Sometimes it is very, even doctors or experts will tell you that sometimes crying is necessary. Let them just pass out that particular frustration. But sometimes when you tell them just suck it up, keep it to yourself, they begin to bottle up that feeling and it piles up. So another common mental health
Just before you get to the other one, because I can tell that you actually have a whole lot to say in that regard, but it's still Flipside on Independent Television. We have to go on this break now. When we return, a second guest shall be joining us on the show. Please stay tuned. right, it's great to have you back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing safeguarding teens' mental health. Just like I said before we went on that break, we have our second guest joining us on the show, and she is a teens coach as well, and she goes by the name of Isioma Ubede. It's good to have you in the house, Isioma.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
And it is my pleasure to have you on the show. So before we went on that break, Abigail was telling us the different ways in which, or the different challenges that teenagers, face as regards mental health. Yeah, so you can take it from there.
Okay. The last two I would like to talk about is substance abuse disorder. Substance abuse is becoming a common thing among our teenagers. Our young people, including girls, it's not just restricted to the boy child. Okay. Sometimes they use these drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with an underlying mental health challenge. You can imagine that.
So using a mental health problem to deal with a mental health
drugs,
problem.
Because they say it helps them to think straight. And at the end of the day, it also becomes
and some say it also helps them escape reality.
Yes, but the truth of the matter is that when that thing kind of fizzles out of your system, you come back to reality, and that particular thing that you are avoiding is still there. So what's now
you were trying to escape?
Yes, escape is there. What's the essence? So some teenagers may experiment with drugs and alcohol just to cope with maybe challenging situations that they are having. Sometimes it can be as a result of peer pressure. Okay. Peer pressure. Then the last one I'll mention is self-harm. The first time I heard about self-harm, I was like, how can somebody begin to inflict injury on themselves? It was one of my teenagers that she even had a friend who does that, who was she inflicts physical injury on herself. Why? As a result. That's the thing. The thing is that it's kind of a complex situation that even the individual cannot really explain why they have that urge. But I think it comes from a place of low self-esteem, a place of they don't feel worthy, they feel worthless. So it comes from a place of like hopelessness. They can't even explain why they do that. Maybe the person has maybe was a victim of sexual abuse, and they can't really cope with reality anymore. So they begin to indulge in self-harm. Because sometimes some parents may just think they are trying to get your attention or they're attention seekers, but it's far deeper than that. It's far deeper than that.
Well, I'm hoping that we're able to dig deep into this issue of mental health for teenagers, because indeed you can already tell that it's actually a very deep situation for young people. Now, Isioma, what's your perspective to this? Mental health for teenagers. In what ways do you think teenagers struggle with maintaining their mental health?
Okay, so when it comes to the issue of mental health, I'm very glad that in recent times a lot of awareness have been created concerning it, because in the past they usually are pushed under the rug using religious to cover it up. Some say it's just spiritual attack. But today, there's so much awareness of it, particularly among the adults. But when it comes to the issue of teenagers, most people just term it like they're trying to be rebellious. Okay. Most just see it as a means of, they're trying to get back at their parents, at enforcing a particular law on them. But it's much more than that, because when we look at mental health, we're looking at both the person's emotional stability, we're looking at the person's ability to cope with stressful conditions, which we know are necessary part of life. We're looking at the person's ability to socialize. So it's not just the issue of, this person is just being depressed, or this person is just being psychotic in terms of symptoms. It goes a lot more than that. And with social media and lots of information that are flying all around, people now are exposed to a lot more than we had in the time past. And so these are things that are realities that we need to talk about, that we need to create more awareness, particularly within our tertiary institutions and secondary schools.
All right. Now, before you came, Abigail talked about, how mental health, how teens' mental health is affected, by academic pressure. Could you throw more light on that?
Okay. So when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, it's actually real. And both the tutors, their teachers, the parents, the society, we have to do a lot more
Okay.
We have to do a lot more. We have to create this environment that makes the child knows that even if you failed a course doesn't mean you failed in life. Even if you failed an exam, there's another opportunity to try. And who knows, it might just be God's way of directing you to something else that you might be much better at. And so when it comes to the issue of academic pressure, imagine a student that probably is in penultimate year and then fails. And the fear of what parents will say, what society will say, pushes this child into drugs. And ultimately, who loses? The same family, the same society. Because if someone comes to you now and is under the influence of drug and does anything, the person might actually go free because he's acting under the influence of something else. And so it's something that is much larger than what we are looking at now. But we need to create that environment that allows people to try, make mistakes, and get up.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very amazing insight that you brought to the conversation. Now, Abigail, I would like to ask this. Let's take a look at social media. In what ways does social media influence the mental health of young people, teenagers particularly?
Okay. You know, when we talk about social media, the social space is like a double-edged sword. You know, there are a lot of benefits that teenagers, young people can get from utilizing the social media. Teenagers can connect with their peers, they can connect with their friends, they can learn, they can improve on their academics. But the thing is that when it is not properly utilized, it becomes a problem. There's a particular survey that was carried out by the Royal Society for Mental Health in the UK. That survey said that there was a finding that teenagers who make use of social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, kind of have a higher tendency to experience body image issues, loneliness, loneliness and anxiety. And it's not just about the making use of the social media. Sometimes it is the kind of content that they are exposed to. Let's say, for instance, as a young person, you are through with your secondary school and
probably
you
came, up for the higher institution.
You are trying to you are aspiring to get into the higher institution, but due to one particular reason or the other, you have not been able to further your education, maybe financial issues, or you didn't pass, the student didn't pass his or JAM or post-UTME. And they come online, they see their friends celebrating their matriculation. It's even possible that some of them are even celebrating their graduation, convocation, and you are still yet to gain admission into higher institutions. Sometimes you feel like, you begin to feel hopeless, like, and it's even possible that these people that are celebrating online, you were even far better than them in school. Some of them were the type that teachers would say, this one will not even make it. You are the one that, and sometimes when your teachers see you, sometimes you begin to feel self-conscious. I remember, like,
haven't said anything negative to you.
Yes, even some like most times I'm very concerned about my former students. When I see them, even in the vehicle, how are you doing? Hope you are in school now. Sometimes some of them, the way they will react, it may show that they are yet to gain admission. So sometimes maybe there will be no time for me to dig further. Sometimes it may make them feel self-conscious that my teacher just saw me and yet I've not been able to gain admission into higher institutions. So it can bring about low self-esteem. And another thing is that one thing that most individuals don't know, even teenagers, is that people only present what they want you to see on social media. People will post when they went out to have fun, they went to the mall.
So it's more of make-believe.
Yes. So people will not tell you their struggles. Sometimes that person you wish you can be like, oh, I just wish I can be like this person. This person is living the life.
So much
this person is making it, and I'm just here. I'm here to gain admission. I'm here to get the latest bag. I'm here to get the latest shoe. Oh, look at what this my friend is putting on. It's as if she's not a big girl or is not a big boy. You might not even know the source of their finance. Maybe they have a rich uncle abroad, or there's somebody, a close relative that is just supporting the finance. You just think that maybe they are doing far better than you. So social media can expose teenagers. When there's a study that research says that teenagers that spend more time on social media are more likely to experience loneliness, isolation, and anxiety than body image issues. Even we as adults, there are times, another thing is that it can also affect the academics, and this can also affect, because when you are not doing well academically, it will affect your mental health. There are times that, in as much as we teachers or educators, we tell students, you are not doing well, Some of them feel it. They may not be able to help themselves, but whenever we talk to them about it, it affects them. Some of them can even tell you that I don't really know why. That's why when Auntie Sema was talking about academic pressure is very real. And in fact, as teenagers are facing that pressure from the school, they're also facing it from the home. In fact, I even think parents are the one that even kind of mount this pressure. There are some parents that are trying to live their dream life through their children. There are some parents, the things that they were unable to do, they are putting too much pressure. Sometimes for some teenagers, I've been in the educational system. There are some teenagers that are doing very well, but they have low self-esteem. You begin to ask yourself. I have one of my teenagers, and when she told me certain things, and she was like, her parents they think that she's not good enough. Okay. Well, I told her, I said, you are among the best. You are one of the best. She even became like, she was one of the best. Like, I told her, I'm seeing so many potential in you, and all teachers can attest to the fact that this is actually who you are. How come your parents are not seeing this? Because there are some parents that lay more emphasis on the results than effort. Okay. They look at there are some parents, now this is just, students just collected their results now. You will realize that there are some parents, when that child will bring that report card, they will check through. Maybe that child is offering, that teenager is offering, let's say 12 subjects, that child had, let's say 11 A's, they want C. Some parents will not say, kudos for the 11 A's. They will ask you, why did you have that C?
Them for having the C.
They will ask you, okay, the person that had all A's, doesn't the person have 2 A's? They will not even take it back to, when I was your age, when I was in secondary school, I had all A's from J1 to SS3. So that pressure is real. So it can also affect.
Which is probably not even true.
It might not be true. So the thing is that even studies will tell you that academic pressure to meet deadlines in school is one of the reasons that teenagers give for feeling unmotivated, feeling tired, feeling anxious. And there are times we parents, we think that when we criticize, when we call them names, that will motivate them. The truth of the matter is that when you begin to criticize that child, they'll feel like, what's even the essence? They have been calling me names, so let me just begin to leave it. Let me just, in fact, they said nothing good will come out, then why should I even try to put in effort? But by the time you begin to affirm that child, you begin to validate their feelings. I'm not trying to say that you should just leave them to themselves. No, that's not the point I'm trying to make. As you are talking to them, also draw them closer. Extremes are very wrong. Don't be too relaxed. Then don't put too much pressure. Like Auntie Isioma said, there are some people that will excel beyond or outside the academic framework. And there are some children that are late bloomers. Like, though, as an educator, I used to tell my teenagers, it's like, if you're a teenager and you are still not doing well in SS1, SS2, SS3, you are the problem. You are your own problem. You can't blame your parents. For younger children in J1 and below, you can say maybe sometimes the motivation is not there. You need to put them through, assist them. But for teenagers, if you are not doing well academically, your parents are paying your school fees, you don't have any excuse to give.
All right. Thank you so much, Abigail. That was quite a lot. I would like to ask you, Isioma, what are the ways that parents can identify early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers?
Okay, so the first thing I would want every parent to do is, particularly during this period of holiday, it's very glaring that a lot of demands, multiple streams of incomes requiring your time, but you need to make out time to be friends with your children. Because it's only what you actually observe that you can notice when there are changes. If you've never really had that time with the child, you won't even know when there are changes. So you need to get time to know them. This time is not you saying, bring your result, bring your notes. Just let's gist and talk. In between those gist and talk, you will get to realize what these children are facing, what their challenges are. And then secondly, something else that parents can do is, please don't be afraid to let them know where you made mistakes. It helps them.
I think that's speaking to what Abigail said a moment ago about some of these parents setting unrealistic standards for their children.
Yes, that's the word. So there are times where you know that, oh, as a parent, I also faced this, but this is what I did, or this is what I did not do, which I think you can learn from, so that you don't repeat that same mistake. That way the parent is able to help that child navigate. Because one thing about the modern parenting is that, unlike in our time where you tell them, do this, now you are guiding them, but they make the decision, so that whatsoever decision that they make, they also bear whatsoever consequences come with it, and they are motivated when they see their decisions yielding fruitful results.
Thank you so much, Isioma, for that very brilliant analysis. It's still Flipside on Independence Television. We're talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. We shall be going on this break now. The program continues afterwards. Please stay tuned. Yes, welcome back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Isioma, you were talking about the ways that parents can identify the early signs of mental health challenges in teenagers. So, are there other ways?
Okay, so the other ways you can actually identify early signs of mental challenges in teenagers is when you see a child who previously is extroverted suddenly want to be introverted. Withdrawn. Or you notice a certain feeling of, how will I put it, a flip. Either one who is also introverted deciding to now be this extra extroverted. So, and again, another way you can notice it is when a child overly wants to cover up or wants to keep things to him or herself.
Yeah.
So, but most of these things, like I said earlier, depends on the way in which you relate with these children. That's how you can easily identify it. And many of the times, it's easier when you and these children actually have a relationship going. So, aside the fact that, oh, you provide for them, who are their friends?
Okay. And I think that's one part of the whole conversation that a lot of parents don't pay attention to.
Yes. Yeah. So who are their friends? Is there any new addition to the clique that is suddenly making this child change? Have you done some kind of background check to know? Or was there any change in the teachers, even in the classroom? Because actually, there are times when the teachers are changed in school and it affects the child's own confidence.
Okay.
Their
a change of teachers.
Yes, it could actually affect their confidence level. It could actually even lead to even greater motivation for the child. So it can be either way, but the parents need to be very keen on observing these children. And when it comes to teenagers, aggression never works. It never works. Don't even try to say,
what do you make of the biblical injunction that says the rod of correction?
Okay.
It's not even aggression.
Okay. So when the Bible is talking about the rod of correction should not be far, it didn't actually tell you that it has to be a rod, like an iron rod or a physical rod.
Okay.
So there are different ways in which you can do corrections. When it comes to the younger children, if you decide to flog a bit, it's fine. But for a teenager, imagine me trying to hold an 18-year-old boy and say, you know what, today I'm going to flog you. It's possible we chatter that kid if it's been nice. Or decide to say, you know what, let's get it physical, and at the end I'll act.
True.
So that doesn't even work with teenagers. So, but at this stage, there are times where you can decide to say, you know what, let's do it like this. Have this result, have these goals that you have set for yourself. If you're able to achieve it, you get more time on your gadgets, or you are able to control the timing. But most especially, if you notice any changes and there are things you can talk to the child about, please talk to the child. But when there are things that you cannot, please seek professional counselors. They are trained to be able to manage some of those things and be able to identify some warning signs that you might not see. I'll give you an instance. So there are times that, so based on my profession, I'm a pharmacist by training. Okay. When people make use of drugs, there are times they are overly calm. They are not aggressive. But there are repetitive habits that make it consistent with use of drugs. So for instance, if I walk into a place and every morning, every single, at a particular time of the day, I need to make use of the restroom, could be a warning sign. But you who are not within that line might not be able to identify it. Yes. There are times even when children take even something as simple as Coca-Cola, but they are drugged. And you just notice this child is constantly with that bottle. If you even try to collect it, there's this little resistance. That's a warning sign. But if you are not within the field, you can't. And that's why I always tell people, there are reasons why these people are around us so that we can provide support for such cases when you can't identify, or when you identify but you are not so sure.
Thank you so much, Isioma. That was a very eye-opening one. Now, Abigail, what role should schools play in promoting mental health awareness among teenagers? Schools, because she made mention of the role of schools in all of this. So, what do you think schools can do to create more awareness, for teenagers to be able to deal with their mental health challenges?
Okay. Firstly, I would like to say that one way the school, in fact, there's a lot of role that schools can play. Children, if you look at it, they spend more time in school than, because you have 3 months in a particular term. First term, second term, third term, you understand, in a session, in one session. So most times, and there are even some children from, let's say 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m. they are in school. There are times, even sometimes the children will get home before the parents. So sometimes the parents, that's why, like Auntie Isioma said, parents should spend more time, get to understand your children. But there are times, there are things that parents might not be able to pick up on, maybe at home, maybe due to the busy schedule of the parents. Then the teachers will be able to pick up on those particular issues, maybe mental health issues or emotional challenges that a particular teenager is going through. I'll say that the first step, or the first role that schools can play in identifying mental health challenge or kind of helping teenagers cope is for them to introduce mental health literacy to core subject, maybe like in civic education or national values. And
so you mean,
yes,
based on your experience as an educationist, right?
Yes.
That hasn't yet been achieved?
It's there. It's actually there.
Okay.
It's actually there, but there's a saying that emphasis, you keep on emphasizing on something. So aside from it being in the curriculum in a particular subject, there's a way they can also introduce it to maybe another subject. There's a time the children keep hearing it, it becomes part of them. So by the time they keep on hearing things that have to do with their mental health, seeking support, talking to your loved ones or talking to your school counselor, understand? So when they are having challenges, it will give them that a kind of motivation to open up to somebody. So what schools can do is that they can kind of teach these things, maybe during assembly, maybe during, because in some schools they have what they call gender class, gender assembly, where they talk to the boys and they talk to the girls. They can introduce the topic for them. Then another thing that schools can do is for schools to train teachers, to train the educators on how to identify early and warning signs of mental health challenge in teenagers and how to kind of refer them to the appropriate authorities, because not all teachers, not all educators are equipped to handle such challenges. Like I normally tell my teenagers, I say sometimes there may be something you are going through. Just seek out a support. At least you must have a support system within your circle. Even if you don't trust anyone, there must be somebody you feel free, like your spirit aligns, agree with that person. That person might be your teacher. That person might be your Sunday school teacher, but you just feel free with this person. So
could even be an older friend.
Yes, an older friend. Yes. So schools should kind of train their teachers on how to identify the early warning signs. Sometimes you might notice that this child that used to is always participating in class is now suddenly withdrawn. Okay, I remember there was this case of an 8-year-old girl. My friend shared it with me that the girl, her parents were living abroad or something like that, her mom. So the mom had other children in Nigeria and brought her, she was born abroad, brought her down to Nigeria and said, I want you to kind of be close to your siblings. And at the end of the day, somebody started abusing her within the family that she was living with around the age of 8. Then when this girl, they said when that girl came, she was very chubby and very outgoing. Then she entered J1. She was now in boarding school. And people within the area was like, because she's now in J1, she's now forming big girl. Yeah. She started keeping to herself. She just lost it. So people just say, oh, it's as a result of the fact that she has entered secondary school. They didn't know that something was eating her up. She was facing sexual abuse and she was already having an infection. It was a teacher in the school that was, she did not, in fact, they said when they questioned her again, she was willing to die than for her to open up about that particular thing. The teacher noticed that whenever she's sitting there in class, she doesn't sit properly. The teacher would tell her, sit properly. She would just bend her body because she was having pain. At the end of the day, when this girl was able to open up, they got her treated. And so what I'm trying to say is that sometimes teachers should be trained for them to identify the early warning signs. Another thing is that the schools can do, another role schools can play is that they should kind of provide a safe space for the children to express themselves. Okay. When teenagers, one thing about teenagers is that you may think they are not sensible. Teenagers they are like you. In fact, sometimes they may be more knowledgeable than you as an adult.
Because
not
they are more exposed
to
information.
There are things. Yes, you are right. Sometimes you tell them you know nothing, but they know some things that you don't know as an adult, because maybe you know your academics, you know the bookwork, but they know streets and stuff like that. So one thing that teenagers can know if you are not a trustworthy person. So if, for instance, this teenager know that if I walk up to this teacher and tell them what I'm going through, the next day they're going to table it in the staff room, they won't walk up to you. So just imagine if the school environment is toxic and most of the teachers, they talk about the student, a student shared something with you in confidence, then you decide to go and share that thing with another teacher, and the student didn't tell you that, okay, I want you to help, because there are times I've done that. There are times when I was in the educational sector, some teenagers would bring an issue to me. I'll tell them that this issue, I know that I can't help you, but I can refer you to somebody that I trust, that I know can help you. With their permission, I do that. If they say, okay, I just want it to be between us, I also keep it between us. So if you, as an educator, at the end of the, let's say a child confided in you about something they are struggling with, they trusted you to that extent, and you went to expose or kind of maybe, or you criticize them or you judge them about it, you are not just only, the thing is that you are also injuring that child. They will find it difficult to trust others. So it's not just about that particular incident. Furthermore, that child will not want to open up to another person, because they'll begin to view all adults like that. They will find it difficult before they'll be able to overcome that particular struggle. So another thing that schools can do is that they should look for ways on how to support teenagers that are going through mental health issues, kind of so that the issue will not escalate.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Before we go on our last break for the show, I would like to ask Isioma, what are the coping skills that teenagers, can be taught to manage stress and emotions? Okay. Are there practical skills that we can teach teenagers to apply whenever they're faced with such mental health challenges? Quickly.
Okay, so some of the coping skills that they can use is one that has to do with relaxation. Everywhere is so tense. In schools, I marvel when people tell me that they have like 8 hours classes in like secondary school and there are no breaks. And even during the breaks are such that you are still within the same pressurized environment. So one of the change of environment. Yes. So one of the things that they can do is to introduce things like sports. Back into schools.
Leisure.
Yes, leisure, where the children can actually relax. And also, they could actually create materials that these children can actually read, because knowledge is power. So many of the times what we see is we focus so much on the academics without providing that practical environment where they can actually see this thing work. Even having peer groups of friends where you can actually get, like, it works. There are times where we want to introduce an intervention and then we just mentor a particular teenager, send that one into a group, and that one mentors their fellow teenagers. It's easier when they are talking to themselves than when there's an adult who is. So there are times, even when I want to hold discussions with teenagers, I'll just tell them, forget the anti-part, all of us, we 9 day here, and then there's no judgment and anything like that, so they are able to cope. Then finally, when it comes to the issue of coping, it's something that you practice step by step. It doesn't come once. So what one person can take is different from what another person can tolerate. Well, but you celebrate your wins little by little as you go along.
Celebrate your wins little by little as you go along. Life is step by step. Well, it's still flip side on independent television, and we shall be going on this very last break. Yeah, welcome back. It's still flip side on independent television. This is the final lap of the program, and this is the point where you get to advise parents, adults out there who have teenagers that are dealing with mental health challenges. So, Isioma, let me begin with you. What's your final word, and what's your advice for such people?
So, if you have one, whether close to you, your neighbor, friend, who is having mental health challenges, just know that it's just like any other challenge that can come.
Okay.
It's very critical that you get help early, so that it doesn't actually make the person lose a lot of time in life. One, it's very important that you create a healthy support system, because when it comes to anything mental, more than the medicines, more than whatsoever any professional can tell you, a healthy support system helps every
When you
therapy.
say healthy support system, you mean
the parents,
personnel,
the people around them.
Okay.
Not create. There are times when they just put this person aside. No, this one is a forgotten case. No, create the environment and help them thrive. Like I said, celebrate their wins. When they make little progress, let them see that they are making progress.
And reward them too.
And reward them too. And then also, if you really want us to deal with this issue of mental health challenges, we must break stigma. We must break stigma. It's okay for a child to have lost a year because he had 1 or 2 challenges, but that's not enough to mark that child as a child who has mental illness, and for the rest of the life, the child is tolling along that line because of that single episode. We must break the stigma. It starts with me, it starts with the school, it starts with the churches, it starts with the parents also. So everybody must work together to ensure that, irrespective of whatsoever challenge any child has when it has to do with their mental health, we must break that stigma and know that they are part of the society and help them to integrate. Even if it's substance abuse, there are a lot of people that have been into substance abuse, but right now they are championing the things that the interventions that has to do with fighting against drug abuse. If those persons have been put aside, what now happens? But we need to break that stigma. Thank you.
We need to break the stigma. Now, Abigail, what's your final word of advice for parents, that have teenagers going through challenges of mental health? In less than a minute, if possible.
Okay, less than a minute. Okay, the advice I'll give to parents is that parents should spend more time. Spending time with your children, your teenagers cannot be overemphasized. When they get to that particular stage, some parents just feel, oh, they can do this by themselves, so we should spend time with them. Sometimes they might not even want to talk. Your teenager, when they were younger, you see that they will ask you multiple questions. In fact, when they see that you are busy, that's the time they want to come and disturb you. But you just suddenly realize that now that they are not teenagers, 13, 14, 15, they will just come back from school, drop their bag. Mommy, they might not even ask. They will just enter their room, eat the food, they will just close the door. But in as much as they may keep to themselves, because teenagers are known to be kind of secretive. The thing is that even if they keep to themselves, you should try to also draw them closer. Deep down, they want you to make the move. So validate their feelings. There are times they will discuss certain things with you. It doesn't mean that you will just begin to criticize them, you just begin to yell, or you just begin to oppose their view. Sometimes hear their view, then in a kind of, subtle way, there's a way you can tell them, okay, this thing shouldn't be like this. I feel it is far better if it is like this, or if it is done in this particular way. Validate their feelings, listen to them. Listening is very important. I think that's where a lot of us parents or even adults that have teenagers around us will miss it. Listening is a skill. Learn to listen. A lot of us, we talk, and we don't even listen. And when a teenager notices that you are not paying attention to what they are saying at that particular crucial stage, they will just begin to, in fact, they may even seek the wrong person to get advice or motivation from. So we should learn to listen. Then we should also counsel them in a way that is not judgmental. We should kind of adopt a non-judgmental approach, validate their feelings, affirm them, get to know their love language, spend time with them. Sometimes just drop the phone, just interact with them. So it's very important for us to do that.
Thank you so much, ladies, for your very brilliant analysis. It's been such an amazing and interesting conversation so far, safeguarding teens' mental health. I'm hoping that the parents and adults out there have learned so much from what you guys have said so far. I have learned a whole lot, and I'm hoping that, just like they say, talk is cheap. We've done the talking. We hope that they're able to put to practice everything that has been said so far. Big thank you once again for being on the show with me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'm hoping that next time you'll be able to do me the honor again of being with me on the show. All right, it's been Flipside on independent television, and we've been talking about safeguarding the mental health of teenagers. Well, just like I said in opening, the mind is the engine room of the body. So if you can't safeguard it, then it's only a matter of time before the body, follows suit. So it's very important that we safeguard our mental health, not just the mental health of teenagers, even as adults. Okay, it cuts across. Let's safeguard our mental health. My name is Harry Igbo-J, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and bye for now.
Top on the list of the initiates was the eldest son of the Esama of Benin and former governor of Edo State, Chief Lucky Nosakare Igbenedion. 11 of his siblings, namely Bright Ayamekwe Igbenedion, Honorable Charles Osemwige Igbenedion, Peter Osawari Igbenedion, Dr. Fred Osamui Igbenedion, Barrister Mike Osarene Igbenedion, Efosa Douglas Igbenedion, Ukponwa Enes Igbenedion, Osawe Igbenedion, Edosa Igbenedion, Dr. Daniel Omorige Igbenedion, Agbon Steve Igbenedion, as well as the Executive Director Operations, ITV and Radio, Chief Elder Ugbeide Nwonse. It was a vital aspect of Okada community's cultural heritage, which emphasized the significance of age, responsibility, and community service. Over 50 notable sons of Okada were also initiated. According to tradition and customs, those initiated, dressed in white traditional attire, were made to undergo some rituals, while the Odionwe pronounces blessings on them and assisted them to take a seat with the elders.
ITV, certainly the best.